Hi, please watch part 1 of this series first. In this video, I will cover what is happening now in Israel. I am not an expert, but just trying to get people caught up somewhat who know very little about the conflict. In February of 2022, after a thorough investigation, Amnesty International concluded that the Israeli authorities must be held accountable for committing the crime of apartheid against Palestinians. The investigation details how Israel has been enforcing a system of oppression and domination against the Palestinian people wherever it has control over their rights. Through massive seizures of Palestinian land and property, unlawful killings, forcible transfer, drastic movement restrictions, the denial of nationality and citizenship, and the denial of economic and social rights are all components of a system which amounts to apartheid under international law. In April of 2022, there were over 4,400 Palestinian prisoners in Israeli, what some are calling, torture camps. The charges ranged from terrorism to political activism, such as raising a Palestinian flag. This number included 160 children and over 1,000 administrative detainees indefinitely incarcerated without charge. It has been reported that in the first 2 decades of the Israeli occupation beginning in 1967, 1 in 3 Palestinians were detained at some point by Israeli forces. On October 7, 2023, Hamas and several other Palestinian militant groups launched coordinated armed incursions from the Gaza Strip into the Gaza envelope of southern Israel, the first invasion of Israeli territory since the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. This attack killed around 1,200 Israelis and an estimated 250 hostages were taken. This act initiated the current ongoing Gaza war. It was the deadliest attack on Israel since 1973. Understandably, Israel retaliated and has been doing so for over 18 months, decimating the Gaza Strip. In September of 24, about a year after the war began, the United Nations voted on a resolution that called for Israel to comply with international law and withdraw its military forces, immediately cease all new settlement activity, evacuate all settlers from occupied land, and dismantle parts of the separation wall it had constructed inside the occupied West Bank. The General Assembly further demanded that Israel return land and other immovable property, as well as all assets seized since the occupation began in 1967, and all cultural property and assets taken from Palestinians and Palestinian institutions. In addition, it demanded Israel allow all Palestinians displaced during the occupation to return to their place of origin and make reparation for the damage caused by its occupation. There are currently warrants out for the arrests of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, and former Defense Minister Gallant for war crimes and crimes against humanity relating to the treatment of the Palestinian people. These warrants were issued unanimously by the International Criminal Court. So to sum up so far, there have been tensions, obviously, between Israeli Jews and Palestinians for obvious reasons since the Zionist movement began. But for many decades now, the Palestinian people have been way outnumbered, outgunned, and oppressed and occupied by Israel. Since the war began over 18 months ago, most of Gaza's infrastructure has been demolished. An estimated 169,000 buildings have been bombed, including hospitals, schools, and homes. 51,000 people have been killed, at least another 160,000 have been injured, and thousands are missing. Of the dead, around 40% are children. Israel has cut off humanitarian aid to Gaza at various times throughout the war, but has not allowed any in for almost 60 days. The electricity has been turned off to the area, so the desalinization plant is not functioning, and 80-some% of plant life has been destroyed. The Palestinian people are being bombed or shot at daily and are being starved as a way to encourage them to leave Israel. The number of political prisoners imprisoned by Israelis has doubled since the war began. It has been reported that for every Palestinian Israel freed during a ceasefire deal, it apprehended 15 more. Israel currently holds in their prisons an estimated 10,000 Palestinians. At this point, 97% more Palestinians are dead than Israelis. There are 99% more people captive to Israel than Palestine, and Gaza is unrecognizable due to the relentless bombing. The cruelty of the Israeli military has been well reported. Israel has made this war a tourist attraction. They have set binoculars up on a hilltop so people can watch the Palestinians being bombed in the Gaza Strip, and they offer boat cruises along the coast for the same purpose, and also so Israelis can get a look at where they could be moving when the area is redeveloped. Unfortunately, many Americans will not give any of this much thought. However, it will interest everyone to know that your taxes have been funding this ongoing occupation, apartheid, and genocide since the Second World War. I will cover U.S. support for Israel in the next video. Thank you for watching.